talked about what a literal equation is, and that a formula is a special literal equation. I have a formula up there. I want to know what that formula is for. It says, what relationship is the following formula for? Capital P equals 2L plus 2W. What can we find with that formula? Anybody know what capital P might stand for? The perimeter, yeah. It is for finding the perimeter. What does perimeter mean? Yeah, the length all around. So this perimeter you can find by taking 2 lengths and adding to it 2 widths. What's this the perimeter formula for? What kind of a figure? A rectangle, yeah. A rectangle has 2 pairs of sides that are, those pairs are equal to each other. So we have 2 sides, opposite sides, they're equal to each other. We have another set of sides, opposite sides that are equal to each other. So when we have a rectangle, we can find its perimeter instead of saying, okay, take this side plus that side plus this side plus that side. You can say, well, wait a minute, 2 of them are the same. So I'll just double one of the lengths, and I'll double the other side, and add them together, and I'll have the perimeter. So that's our formula for finding the perimeter of a rectangle. Well, the stuff we're going to do today, we're going to need to follow the same kind of thought process, the same kind of steps that we've been doing when we've been solving multi-step equations that only have one variable in them. Remember, we've been solving one variable equations. But if we just follow the same process, we're going to get some really crazy answers. But we will be doing it right if we follow the correct process. So let's solve this one though. Let's get our brain going for how do you solve a multi-step equation. So if we are given that we have a perimeter of 38 and a width of 5, how could we find L for this rectangle? What should we start with? That?
38 is equal to 12.
Okay. So we're going to substitute in those knowns that they gave us. They gave us some knowns. We're going to substitute them in. And then we're going to see if there's, we're not solving yet. We're going to simplify this. We can take 2 times 5 and get 10. Now, is there any other simplifying we can do? No, this is ready to solve. And you guys know how to solve this, right? What do we do first? Go ahead, Jennifer. Yeah, subtract 10. So if we're solving for L, the goal is to get L by itself, correct? So the first thing we're going to do is that addition. We're going to subtract 10. And now we're going to have, what's our equation going to read now? 28 is equal to 2L. I picked a new color. Okay. Are we done? Is this equation solved for L? No. What do we have to do next? Go ahead, Alexis. Divide both sides by 2. Thanks for saying it that way. 28 divided by 2 and 2L divided by 2 because L is being multiplied by 2, so we have to divide by 2, right? So I want you to think about that. You have to, what are the processes I have to do to go through to get L by itself? So L is now by itself, and what's 28 divided by 2? 14. So we just determined that L equals 14 for this rectangle, right? And we know how to do that already. So we're going to take those same skills now, and we're going to solve this perimeter formula for L, not knowing what the perimeter is or what the width is. We're going to say, I want this equation solved for L, not knowing what the perimeter is or what the width is. So here's what's going to happen. There are 3 variables in the formula to start with. There are still going to be 3 variables in the answer. It's just going to be rearranged. We're going to get the L by itself. So if we're solving for L, that means this little fellow is eventually going to be alone. So what should we do first? This is what you're going to do in your homework now. Is what we're doing here. What should we do first? Think about what we did first up above. We subtracted 10. Now here we're going to subtract 2, not 2L, 2W. So here's the thought process you have to have. I need L alone. What's happening on the side with L? On the side with L's, I have 2W being added. So I need to get rid of that first. So I'm going to subtract that 2W. If I subtract it on that side, I have to subtract it on this side. We're still solving an equation. Well, the crazy thing is, though, our P's and W's the same. Can we really take those W's away from that P? Combine them? No. So we're going to have to write it as the algebraic expression P minus 2W. That's all we can do with it. Bring our equal sign down. What do we have left on the right side? 2L. Okay. Ask ourselves, what's happening to L now? It's being multiplied by 2, so we need to divide by 2. But we're going to do exactly what Alexa said. She said divide both sides by 2, right? So both sides have to be divided by 2. So we're going to write this again, and we're going to show dividing it by 2. We're going to take the 2L and divide it by 2. And I'm going to show you there's another way we can do this also. This is one way. Divide each side by 2. Let's be careful here, because I already know what your brain wants to do. It's not that I'm reading your mind, I just know it wants to do this because it says, oh, there are 2's there. I can cancel them out. But we can't. Because there's actually 2 pieces here that have to be divided by 2. Each piece has to have a 2 to be able to do that. Do the p's have a 2? Or anything that 2 goes into? No. So we're going to say, you know what? I can't do anything with that. So what's going to happen is, over here I can though. So now my L is by itself, like we want it to be. And this side, ugly as it is going to be what the solution is. It's what L solves to be. It solves to be P minus 2W, that expression, that difference divided by 2. So we followed the same exact steps. It's just that we couldn't really get it looking very clean like we can when we have numbers and when we only have the one variable involved. I want you to put an or about right here on the problem, okay? Where we did the dividing by 2. Because we have another option. I taught you back a couple of weeks ago that when we're going to use multiplying and or dividing to as the inverse operation, we have to do it to every piece of the equation, right? Did I say that? Whenever you multiply or divide, you have to do it to every piece of the equation. So we're going to say, well, what if then instead I want to divide each piece by 2? So the P that it starts with gets divided by 2, our subtraction sign. The 2W gets divided by 2, and the 2L gets divided by 2. This is another legitimate way to do it. But I need to show you both ways because you never know which way the answer bank's going to show it. And I want you to know that if you get this answer, the first answer we got, but yet the back of the book shows this answer, I don't want you to think you're wrong. I just want you to know that you got it. You just are showing it a different way. Okay? So can we really divide P by 2? No. So we're going to leave that as P over 2. Can we divide 2W by 2? We can. Now these can cancel, can't they? And we have a W. That's all we have left is that W. 2W divided by 2 is 1W. And then these 2's cancel, and we have L. L is by itself. We've solved the equation for L. This is another possible way. Put an or between these 2 answers also, so you know that, you know what, one or the other of those 2 answers would be correct. I could not count it wrong in a quiz if you had one of those 2 answers. Okay, anybody have any questions at the moment? Okay, well, what we're going to do next then is we're going to say, well, what if now that we've rearranged the formula, now that it is solved for L, instead of what was it solved for before? What was by itself before? Before we solved that equation for L, what was it solved for? P. It had the P by itself. It was solved for P before, and when we used it with P alone, and we substituted in the given perimeter and the given width, remember we got 14 for a length, didn't we? Let's use it now as one of these names, okay? Which one should we use? Second one, first one? I like the second one. Okay, let's use that one. P over 2, take away W equals L. We're just going to try it now and see if, remember, when P equals 38 and W equals 5, what should we get for L? What should we get for L? 14. This is the same formula with the 38 in for P and the 5 in for W. It's just in a different format to begin with. So 38 is going in for P, 5 is going in for W, and it should give us our length. Anybody here know what 38 divided by 2 is? 19. Take away 5 equals L. What's 19 take away 5? 14. So notice we get the same, we have the same thing for L. But we were just using the equation, our little literal equation, our formula, we were using it renamed with L, with it being solved for L rather than for P. So I want you to put over here off to the side of this right here. This right here is really like the homework, okay? So in your homework, when they tell you to solve for a variable, for the indicated variable, this is what they're asking you to do. So here we were solving it for L, so that's what we did. Okay? Go to the back side and practice a few more. Okay, so this is kind of like we're doing homework also, we're practicing. I can't begin to practice every type of problem that's going to come across in your homework, but you just need to have the same thought processes that you have when you're solving multi-step equations. In this one, they want us to get x alone. So we're going to look at the equation and we're going to say, on the side where x is, what's happening? What should I undo first? So what should we undo first? So x is being multiplied by y, and then that term has a 5 being subtracted from it. What did we say is typically what's easier to do first? Get rid of the subtraction or addition first. So what should we do? We need to add 5 to both sides. We're solving. Right now, it's solved for k. K is by itself. We want it to be solved for x instead. We want x by itself instead. So we're going to get that 5 out of there first. And now, what's our equation read? xy equals, can it be 5k? Is k plus 5 5k? No. It's tempting to do that. But are they like terms? K plus 5, are they like terms? K is a variable k and 5 is a constant. They're not like terms, so we have to say, you know what? We'll have to write it as an algebraic expression, k plus 5. Okay? Same thing we would ask ourselves if there were a whole bunch of numbers involved here and the only thing in this equation was an x. We would say x is being multiplied by y, so we're going to divide by y. So we're going to divide both sides by y. Okay, we'll divide both sides by y. So we'll do it this way first. We'll do the other way too, but we'll do it this way first. Divide both sides by y. Over here, the y's cancel. And we have x by itself. Rah, rah, that's what we wanted. Over here, can we really divide k plus 5 by y? No. So we're going to leave it ugly like that. Okay, make sure your fraction bar is long enough. Okay. Well, I want to do the OR way. Because remember, if you want to divide each piece, so let's do the OR right here. What we could do instead is say, I'm going to take that xy, it's going to get divided by y. I'm going to take the k, the next piece, and divide it by y. I'm going to take the 5, the last piece, and divide it by y. Each piece gets divided by y. Well, these y's can cancel, and we have x by itself. K divided by y, what is that? I'm like taking 1 divided by 3. What do we do with it? We leave it as 1/3, don't we? So we're gonna leave this as k over y. 5 divided by y. Just leave it, yeah. Here we go. There's our or answer. Or either answer is correct. One or the other. In our notes, I want you to have them both, so that you can see. You have a couple of options. Both answers are ugly, but they're both right. Okay, you want to talk to me about it at all, or you just want to keep moving on? Okay, let's go to that next one. We want y by itself. So right now y is in a denominator. Anybody got a suggestion maybe how we should start this one? Do what? I don't know if we want to divide. We might want to multiply. Because here's the deal. What we want to do is, since the variable that we want, well, basically, let's just think of it like this. Because there's a fraction there, let's get rid of the fraction. We could get rid of the fraction by multiplying by y, because then they would cancel out. So let's take both sides of this equation times y. Because we're not trying to get the y to go away. We're just trying to eventually get it to be a 1y. Well, when it's in a denominator, that's not a good spot for it. We can't have 1 over y equals something, okay? So we are going to let these guys cancel each other out, and we'll have x take away 2 equals yz. So we're solving. Now y is looking a little bit friendlier. It's upstairs. What's happening on the side with y? Being multiplied by z, so what should we do? Divide by z. We're going to divide both sides by z. Both sides by z. Or, before we even finish that, let's go over here and say, what's the other option we could have done? What's another option we could have done? Divide what? Yeah. Divide every piece. Divide the x by z, divide the 2 by z, divide the yz by z. So x can get divided by z. Bring down our subtraction sign. The 2 can get divided by z. Make sure you can tell the difference between your 2's and your z's. They can get confused. And the yz will get divided by the z. So we have both options, okay? Over here, back at our first one, can we really take x minus 2 and divide it by z? It's going to have to stay that way, isn't it? So this side's going to stay x minus 2 over z. The other side, the z's can cancel, and the y will be by itself. Or, let's finish up our other one. What's another way the answer could look? X divided by z. Can we do it? No. So we'll leave it like that. Minus 2 divided by z. Can we do it? No. So we'll leave it like that. Yz divided by z. These z's can cancel, and we will have y. So here's another form the answer could be shown. So part of the reason I'm not having you do any odds in the homework, you notice you're doing it even, it isn't because I don't want you just looking at the back of the book to get the answer. But here's what's going to happen. You're going to get an answer, and if you look in the back of the book, you might have one of the answers that the back of the book they didn't do it that way. I don't want you to think you're wrong. I want you to wait till tomorrow and find out if you're right or not. But since there is more than one way, they're not going to show you both ways. They're going to pick and choose one way or the other. Okay? Typically, this is not all the time, typically, they're going to show it this way. They're going to show the first way. Typically. Okay? Not always. But typically that is what they do. Okay? Anybody want to stop me and ask questions quick before we go on to do the last one? Okay, we can make this last one pretty easy. We're going to solve it for n. So n is what we want alone. Here's our n right there. What's happening with that n? It's being times by RT. It's kind of like really, it's being multiplied by R and it's being multiplied by T. And when it's being multiplied by two factors, those two factors can stick together and we can divide both sides by that factor. So we're going to divide both sides by RT. Now, if there was any addition or subtraction going on over there with that n, we couldn't do this. But because it's straight multiplication, we can get away with this. And I want to show you what you might, here's what you might think you can do, and you actually can do. Okay? You don't have to put this in your notes necessarily, but you might show it like this. You say, oh, I got to divide both sides by t. So that's your first move. You divide both sides by t, and then these cancel, and you have PV over T equals N capital R. Well, you can't be done yet, can you? So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to say, well, now I have to divide both sides by R, so here's what you would have. PV over T, and then that has to be divided by R, just like the other side has to be divided by R. Over here, they're going to cancel, but look at this. What's that? If you leave your answer like this, you will never, ever, ever see the answer given like that in an answer bank. Why? Because this is not simplified. You cannot have a fraction within a fraction answer. You can't have that. So this is not, we're following the right steps where we just wouldn't be done with this. And I don't know if I want to show you right now what you would do to make it be done with that. Let's just make it this easy over here, okay? Let's make it this easy. These guys cancel. N is by itself, and our final answer is PV divided by RT. That's how easy that one is. This one would eventually end up to look exactly like that. Because when you're dividing by a fraction, you can multiply by its reciprocal, and when you multiply this by the reciprocal of that, it will end up to be that. But we know what we don't need to complicate. So, any questions?